Tales from the wild. Stories from the heart. A journey into the mind and soul of fired-up business professionals where they share their vision for the future. And hear from a different non-profit organization every month as they create awareness of their goals and their needs. Dive into a world of untamed passion as we join our host, Shireen Buerta, for this month's episode of Friends from Wild Places.
All right, so welcome, Shireen here. I'm your virtual boutique bookkeeper and QuickBooks advisor. You know that feeling when you're out in nature and you breathe in that crisp night sky or the fresh morning sweetness of the sun rising? That moment of peace? Well, how would you like to feel that way, knowing your business financial records are all up to date and accurate at any point in time? Well, that's what my clients say about how I make them feel knowing that I'm in their corner. My superpower is bookkeeping. What is yours? If you want to know more, go check me out at www.shireensbookkeeping.com and allow me to keep your books clean so you don't have to. Welcome back. You are listening to Friends from Wild Places with myself, Shireen, and my amazing and talented co-host, Tanya. What's news from Miami, Tanya?
Well, it's morning here, so good morning, everyone. Just starting the day, so just making a cup of coffee, relaxing, and ready for a busy day. Teaching at Miami-Dade College in the funeral service program, so a lot of changes undertaking here, so to speak. And we're glad to have our guest with us this morning, RJ, calling in from Colorado.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm honored. Thank you both. I appreciate it. And not many places I'd rather be than Colorado, but I think Miami might be up there. So well done there. Congrats.
Well, thank you, RJ. So RJ Johnson is the founder of the exceptional My Will Ministries organization. RJ has a passion for sharing with others that God is still in the miracle business while delivering hope and support to the church behind bars. RJ is the author of the awe-inspiring and captivating book, God Doesn't Waste a Thing, written by a pen named Luke Chance, which highlights the many miracles that he encountered while serving 7 years of a 20-year prison sentence. We'll get more into that exciting story a little later, so I am looking forward to it. Welcome again, RJ. Okay, guys, it's my pleasure. All right, so I'd like to just begin with a little bit of a topic that, as it's spooky month, we're recording this in the month of October, so I'd like to just chat about a little bit of a YouTube video that's been going around. I don't know who knows Michael Knowles very well, but he is a well-known actor, commentator, author, and media host. He does have his own YouTube channel, and so we came across a video where he interviewed a gentleman by the name of Father Dan Riehl, who is hired as a priest under the Catholic hierarchy, but is also, his job title is also an exorcist. Yes, you heard me correctly. That is his actual real life job title in the hierarchy of the priesthood. Under the Pope, he got the job as the exorcist. This was a very surprising video to watch, but also very interesting video to watch. I'm interested to hear your guys' point of view and what you thought of the video. It blew my mind. It blew my mind because I did not realize that is actually a real thing. Father Riehl mentioned a couple of his stories, what he has seen as an exorcist, and he also went into the processes that they go through in these call-outs, if you want to call it call-out, to these different homes and households that are having certain issues. So I'm going to let you guys start with this one. As I said, it just blew my mind. So I'd love us to just chat a little bit about what what your thoughts were on the whole interview. So who wants to start?
I got a comment that resonated with me right off the bat, and it was, and their names are going to slip my mind for sure because the content was what was so impressive, but I've never dealt with any sort of exorcism. I've never experienced it, never met anybody who has, but I do believe in spiritual warfare. I've witnessed that, I've experienced that. And so him walking through, like you said, the process of eradicating the spirit out of an individual was really interesting and captivating, where you have to find where there's the stronghold, where there's been that spiritual tie, that spiritual connection. And he went through it so pragmatically and by list. And they used the example, getting rid of vermin or mice or insects in your home. Like, well, we checked this corner, it's not there. We're moving to this bedroom, it's not there. I've experienced and seen many people pray into spiritual warfare and be able to break that tie. And so for such an extreme case like he was experiencing, man, I don't know if I'd want to witness it. I think if it was in the moment, I would just trust and believe that I'm supposed to be there for that experience. But what he was going through was definitely next level higher up than I've ever seen or heard. But it's really interesting, and I'm really happy I got a chance to listen to it.
Yeah, agreed. Interesting. What do you think, Tanya?
So I actually teach world religions at Miami-Dade College in the funeral service program. So I am a licensed funeral director and embalmer. So I have dealt with many deceased people over the years, and I've served many families over the years as a funeral director. So having watched the video, being a researcher, I know that there's a lot of, people's opinions as far as, is it documented? Is it true? Is it not true? So although the video itself was very compelling as far as what they experienced, what they did, just as a researcher, again, like from the Catholic Church, if it supports it, as far as I did not see any actual documentation to support that, so to speak. So that's the first thing when people are like putting out videos. It's like, how, and I understand, Shireen, as you said, it was put out by the Catholic Church and supported. I just haven't done enough research to say one way or another, right? So watching it at face value is one thing. Do I believe that there is dark energy out there? Most definitely. Do I believe that people have the power to change by whatever way they want to? Yes. So it was very compelling to observe. However, being an academic, as a researcher, the first thing that people would question is what documentation or evidence is supporting this, like from a independent viewpoint. So I'd have to stick with that just because I don't have enough knowledge personally about it. The video itself was compelling. No doubt. We are in the month of October. We have a lot of things coming up with Halloween, the Day of the Dead. So there is a lot of focus on the paranormal, superstition, exorcism, things of that nature. So definitely something to consider. So that would be my viewpoint at this moment in time.
Right, absolutely. And what was very interesting in the sense of the direction and the perspective of where Michael was coming from as the person that was doing the interview, he came from a very skeptic direction. So a lot of his questions were really surrounding, for those that don't believe, or for those that not too sure what to make of such a thing. And he started asking those kinds of questions. So I really do appreciate Michael for doing that, because I don't think you should be just dive into everything you see and hear. So, but I also do think it is very, very interesting. I don't think Father Dan Riehl had any reason to make any of that up, because these are the questions I was asking myself. And also the other thing that I thought to myself about Father Dan is he didn't have to, but he actually spoke a little bit about his life before he became a priest, which was interesting. I mean, he said, I was, like any other businessman or not. He says, I was out at the clubs, I was drinking, I was, partying hard, I was, doing all my things. And, so it was nice that he spoke a little bit about who he was and his story leading up to that, just so we don't get this feeling of he's higher than anybody else. He's pretty down to earth when he speaks, which was also quite nice to take note. But yeah, very interesting. He did mention he saw a couple of things of a woman climbing up a wall, which I'm sorry, that's not something I really truly want to see in real life. I see it in movies, I see it in books, but to observe something like that in real life, I don't think I would probably fall over dead just by heart attack. I don't know.
Yeah, that is one of those examples of, if I'm supposed to witness it, I'll probably be put in that position, but I think it would change your perspective, not yours particularly, anyone who sees that. And that's part of what, like in my book, and when I go through and I share, you can't witness certain things happen and just be like, well, that was a Tuesday. Something has to happen. A decision needs to be made. Something changes, unless you're just mighty blessed at being able to ignore, compartmentalize, and move on and be like, well, I'm just going to act like I didn't see that woman just climb a wall. There's when God moves, or in this case, when there's such a massive battle in the spiritual realm, there's hopefully things that come out of the other side of it much more positive and growth minded.
Right.
Definitely.
Any other words on that topic before we move on?
I have a question for both of you. In your opinion, and RJ, I've done a little research on your background, and it's a very compelling story and interesting. So I can't wait to hear more, about you personally. And Shireen, we go way back since the pandemic together. I just have my question is, in your opinion, from your perspectives, do you feel that change can happen instantly? Or do you believe it's a catalyst, like a series of events that lead up to a change? Like almost like a shift. When we talk about, so there's all different modalities, whether it's religion, whether it's paranormal, whether it's actual practical application. So from your perspective, when let's just use the word, a miracle or a change happens, do you think from where you sit, it's kind of like stepping stones and then something happens, or do you think it's literally just an instant change? So let's start with RJ. What's your take on that?
Not going to bail out on being non-argumentative, but I'm going to say both. Yes, and I was the guy who had to have many steps, many questions answered. You got to prove to me and at least keep showing up and answering these questions for me to switch my entire belief system and to switch where I'm going to align my identity and make my decisions based off of. But I've seen, and it's one of the most powerful moments of my life. One of the moments in the book, within 12 hours, 23 hours, I think to be exact, a guy went from hating his life, hating everyone around him, absolutely despising God, to hands in the air, worshiping and knowing that God is real, God is in his life. And it was overnight, no joke. And so I think that's part of everybody's journey, is something happens to you and you can't just dismiss it. You're going to have to make a decision. Sometimes it's very step based, and other times it just washes over you, like, Saul to Paul, lost his eyesight. Okay, I hear from Jesus. Here we go.
Yeah,
well, thank you for that, RJ. And how about you, Shireen?
Good question, Tanya. I think and I can only talk from my experience, My experience is I was born into a religion of Christianity, and I was forced to go to church every Sunday, go to Sunday school every Sunday. And so in a way, there was a lot of things that was drilled into me at a very young age when it came to do with Christianity, which triggered my journey. So a lot of you don't know my journey, and a lot of you might have heard a little bit snippet here and then. But I think the biggest issue that I had was the fact that I was born and raised and just drilled into the religion, and I walked away because I saw things that I wish I didn't see from people that claim to be Christians. And so through my journey of walking away, and still to this day, I have a problem with religion, and I do not follow any religion of any kind because, and hear me out, I do believe in the historical account of Jesus Christ, that I do believe, and I do believe that he was a really cool dude that came and sat with the murderers, the thieves, the unlikable people like me. He sat with, and he just loved. He just loved us. And the biggest issue he had was with the religious people of the day. And so for me, I have a big problem with religion. And so what I say is, whatever is between you and God is between you and God, and there should be no judgment there. And that's why I always say in this podcast that this place right here is a safe place for you and I. Your opinion and your journey matters, and what you feel matters. So you are so welcome to share what you believe in, and with us sitting here, because this is a place of love. And so for me, the journey that I was born into religion, walked away from religion, and now stand with where I am today because of it, is simply because of the little places in life where I was probably in the darkest moments of my life. And there was something more than just me there. There was always something or someone that always provided just in the nick of time to ensure that I'm still here today. And I will always be grateful for that. And I will always be grateful for the experiences that I've had, because I now know that there is something greater than me that's at work and at play here. And I now know that there is absolutely a God, and that there is absolutely his son that came. But in the same breath, I don't label myself and put myself under any religious circle of any kind. So sorry for the long breath-windedness. It's a very in-depth conversation, and we don't have to go into too much of that.
I'd like to agree with something you said very, very pointedly. I also am not a fan of religion. Like, I think, and I've seen religion separate so many people, separate massive amounts of communities. And I hear what you're saying there towards the end, not to make this all about this comment, but inside of prison, there's one chapel. And so that chapel that I was blessed to set up services for had to serve and honor the Catholics, the Christians, the Protestants, the Presbyterians, the Messianics, the Mennonites, the Asatrus, the pagans, the Muslims, the Native Americans, the Buddhists, and on and on. And the reality was, like, religion does nothing but separate and draw lines, which usually draw conflict, which is why I'm not even going to guess. I'd be the most incorrect guy on the internet if I tried to guess how many religions there are right now. But you can take two people who believe absolutely everything and then bring up one point and they're like, no, we disagree. We're going to form our own new religion. So I agree. I don't identify with anything other than saying I'm a Christ follower. And instead of following a religion or a group of acts or rituals, it's the man and what he says about me and my identity. So I agree with you. Religion has done nothing but cause a whole lot of chaos, and I'm just blessed I learned about it in a place where it's so apparent. In the community, they're like, well, I don't like that group, so we're going to move our family to that group. Oh, they're better, so here's our religion. You can't do that when you're stuck in the same confines. You got to figure it out pretty quick. Like you said, it comes down to love.
Right. All right, guys. So I just wanted to share a quote today, which is a quote from RJ that he brought to us. It's from Stephen Furtick, who said, "Don't miss the opportunity of a lifetime by missing the lifetime of the opportunity." So I just want to begin by asking RJ, why this quote and what does it mean to you?
Yeah, he was one of the pastors that we used to get inside on the few channels that were allowed on the DOC's TV network. And I think the importance of it is there's so many times throughout the majority of our days, certainly my own day, where after something comes in front of you, an opportunity, and it might have been because of fear or anxiety or shame or whatever the verb is you want to put right there. And then you spend the rest of that day, hopefully not day, week, month, year, lifetime, going, man, I should have fill in the blank. I should have asked her out. I should have given him $5. I should have sat down beside him and asked him why he's crying. I should have done whatever. It's literally the point for me to be like, don't miss the opportunity of a lifetime. It might be the greatest thing you ever do in your entire life by missing that gap. There is a lifetime for every opportunity. That red light's only going to be there for so long. That person's only going to be in front of you for so long. The lady buying coffee in front that you want to go and talk to is only going to be there for so long. So that's personal, scriptural, faith-wise. It's what drives a lot of my decisions to make sure I'm following something greater than just my own convenience.
And RJ, when did you first, like, what was the moment, if you recall it, that quote meant that much to you, or to hear it, to identify it, to walk it? What was that moment like for you?
I think I remember reading it. It's out of one of his books called Sun Stand Still, and just doing some of my normal daily Bible studies when I was still locked up, I came across it and it just resonated so well. But I was trying to do something prior. So my come to Jesus moment, like it took some time. And it took some pretty radical, I guess the best word would be events, death threats, moves, fear. Once I had realized that there is something greater to live for than myself, which was a hard truth for me to come to terms with, I made the decision, I made the phrase up called Me 3. It's actually from a good friend of mine named Brock, which is to put God first, the person in front of me second, and me 3. And so that was the quick way for me to make sure I went into every engagement, every conversation, every encounter with my focus being up and in front instead of inwards. That quote just kind of said it way better. Like, I don't want to ever get to the end of the day and be like, man, I wish I would have stopped and prayed with that guy. Or I wish I would have held that door open, because that might have been the only sense of love that person got today at Walmart with their hands full.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Tune in next week for part 2 from Friends from Wild Places.
You've been listening to Friends from Wild Places with Shireen Bueta. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast from the links to catch every episode and unleash your passion.